Right before I get up to speak, I panic. My mind goes blank. My notes look like they're written in Greek. And everything just goes right out of my head. My palms start sweating. My heart starts pounding.
It's my accent. I'm afraid people won't understand me.
I opened my mouth and nothing came out.
There are many names for it. Some call it speech apprehension, speech anxiety, stage fright, the jitters. I've even heard it called podium panic. Whatever you call it, you're in the majority if you've felt it. 90% of people surveyed report feeling anxious about speaking before an audience. In study after study, Americans say that public speaking is the most frightening experience they can imagine. It's right up there with fear of death. Why such extreme reactions? There are different explanations for these feelings of fear. But the good news is that there are ways you can lessen speech anxiety. And your anxieties can even make you a better speaker.
I'm so easily affected by how people look at me. If they whisper to each other, I think they're talking about me. If they laugh, it's at me. I just have no confidence when I'm the center of attention.
I can never tell how I come across. Like, am I talking too loud or too fast, or am I even making sense?
The guy fell asleep during my speech. I bored him to death.
Everyone feels some form of podium panic. Studies show that there are 3 major reasons why we're afraid to speak before an audience. First, some speakers are so worried about how they look and sound, they can't concentrate on what they have to say. Secondly, anxious speakers often feel out of control. They're afraid of the unexpected. They imagine all sorts of things that could go wrong with their speech, even before they say a single word. Thirdly, people often lack confidence about what they have to say. Does everyone have all of these fears all the time? Thankfully, no. But some are more prone to these feelings than others. It's not difficult to believe that people who feel unprepared or who wait to the last minute to plan their speech have more anxiety than those who are ready and waiting. But even speakers who know their material may feel fear. Speakers react in a variety of ways to their fear of standing in front of an audience. For some people, the anxieties have to do with their individual personality or character. They're nervous and shy and feel discomfort whenever they speak in public. James McCroskey, a noted researcher in this field, first coined the term trait apprehension to describe this type of innate anxiety. Other people feel fearful only in specific situations, like standing in front of a large audience. McCroskey called this state apprehension. Some people are really nervous before their speech, but then relax once they get started. And there are those who experience physical reactions like fast heartbeats, sweaty palms, and rapid breathing while they're speaking.
Man, I could just totally blow it.
Public speaking, it's not easy for me.
The bottom line is, everybody feels it. As the great broadcast journalist Edward R. Murrow once said, the best speakers know enough to be scared. Stage fright is the sweat of perfection. The only difference between the pros and the novices is that the pros have trained the butterflies to fly in formation. Anxiety about speaking in public is rarely completely eliminated, but by learning some key strategies, it can be controlled and channeled.
As a minister, I must always remember that when I speak to both the heart and the mind of people. And if I speak to both the hearts and the mind of people, I've got to speak to people without nervous energy, without being afraid, saying things to them that mean something to them. And remember, each person in that congregation has to hear it the way it is. And they have to hear me the way I am, but I have to hear them as I speak. And it's got to mean something to them. As a young minister, I had a problem dealing with a lot of that. I was afraid. I was afraid that I wasn't saying things that were good enough for them. And so I got nervous. And in getting nervous, I wasn't saying what I wanted to say to them. And that's the thing that bothered me most of all. Not saying what I wanted to say to them. But as time passes, I begin to speak. And then I begin to speak with the mind to the words flowed from me to them. And words flowed from them to me.
No one is perfect, and no one is completely comfortable speaking in front of an audience, not even professional speakers. Many professionals, like religious leaders, business people, and lawyers, have a lot to fear because they have a lot at stake when they speak. If they fail to inspire confidence, it could cost them business, money, and in the case of lawyers, it could even cost the lives of their clients. The jobs of these professionals largely depends on how they speak in public. Talk about pressure.
Sometimes when I think about how much is at stake, the fear becomes overwhelming. To a large degree, the jury is judging me. I don't want them to know I'm experiencing the anxiety because it would reflect poorly upon my client. And I have to be careful not to overcompensate and appear arrogant. The jury has to know that I'm prepared. But I'm always a little bit fearful that I've overlooked something that might be critical to the case. I don't think there's anything you can do to completely eliminate the anxiety. It's part of the job. But being fully prepared and focusing on the case can take the edge off.
Experts say that one of the most effective ways to become less anxious before an audience is to be prepared. Advanced knowledge of the subject is essential and enables the speaker to feel more confident. But even a thorough comprehension of all the facts and figures may not be enough. Several studies have shown that up to 50% of the business population experience podium panic. Sometimes, to lessen communication anxiety, business professionals have to go beyond tireless preparation and get some outside help.
Well, even before I became the vice president of this company, I had been giving speeches and presentations for a long time. But I feel better now speaking in public than I did when I first started my career. I knew I had to look like I was in control, so I hired a coach to help me, and he videotaped my speeches. I saw that I didn't look as anxious as I felt. I actually appeared calm. It helped me to relax somewhat. My speech coach taught me to visualize myself speaking successfully. It helped me to be more positive. But the thing that helped me the most was just the fact that I had to get up and do it again and again and again. Experience made me relax. And maybe getting older did too.
There are many techniques people can use to calm themselves before they speak. As we just heard, individual coaching can help people to relax. Visualization is another method of overcoming anxiety. There is evidence that deep breathing exercises reduce stress. In another approach, called desensitization, a person learns to associate the situation of speaking before an audience with something pleasant. Not only speakers feel performance anxiety, of course, lots of other people do. Some of the techniques that help speakers relax are also used by athletes when they speak in public.
Well, there's two things that freezes me up. Once is before the game, second is after the game when I have to deal with these reporters. Now, the coach taught us this little trick, to imagine yourself at the plate and you're hitting that ball right out of the park. Get you psyched up, you know what I mean? But it might work for some of the players, but I'm not sure if it works for me. But I take that little visualization method, and what I do is I place myself in front of these reporters, speaking comfortably and professionally. Hear myself speak calm and collected, knowing that I'm nailing that question or that ball right out of the park.
The moral of the story is that everybody feels speech anxiety. There are different reasons for it, and there are different levels of fear. There are many ways to lessen the anxiety, and everyone must try to find what works best for them. We'll hear about some of the techniques you can try in the next part of the program.
out my speech on anyone I can corner, my family, my friends, even my friends' families. I like to hear what they have to say, and it gives me a chance to practice. It's strange, I'm beginning to actually like speaking in public, and I never thought I'd hear myself say that.
There are techniques that have helped people lessen their anxieties about public speaking. These techniques include exercises and preparation. I call these action. There are also ways of changing the image a speaker has of herself and of her audience. I call this attitude. Be prepared. Knowing a subject well drops the anxiety meter substantially. Research shows that practicing a speech for short periods of time over the course of several days seems to be more successful in reducing anxiety than does concentrated practice. No one at the podium or lectern should ever say that they're nervous or feel unprepared. The audience may never know. One secret to feeling calmer is the knowledge that you appear calm. That goes for announcing sweaty palms or breathing difficulties also. Speaking of breathing, there are different kinds of breathing exercises that work for many speakers. Some people find it helpful to repeat a phrase to themselves like relax or calm down, slowly, syllable by syllable, while they breathe in and out. This often lowers a person's pulse rate and relaxes them. A small yawn or a sigh can relax the neck and throat muscles also. Some speakers have become less anxious after they visualize themselves succeeding at a communication task. It helps if the person sits with eyes closed in a non-distracting place. Using visual aids like graphs or charts or pictures seem to reduce fear. Even the act of gesturing at a visual aid can relax the speaker's tense muscles and at the same time direct the audience's attention away from the speaker. Many people find that eye contact with people in the audience often helps relieve tension. Speakers should not memorize their entire speech. Forgetting a line or a point can throw them off. An outline or notes work better. Most important, anyone planning to make a speech should find out which of these techniques works for them.
Right, what is the worst thing that can actually happen to me is that I lose my lines, I lose my place, I lose everything. And I mean, that's not too bad. I might just move on because people won't even notice the things that I thought were major problems to me.
My brother asked me to do his toast at his wedding, and that made me really nervous. And, you know, I wanted to say something good, you know, something that people would remember and maybe laugh at or something. And so I made sure that I practiced on all of my friends before, and I also made sure that I didn't take any drinks before, you know, the toast.
Hard work and practice help control speaker apprehension. What also helps students relax is attitude adjustment, changing preconceived ideas about how they look and speak. When speakers understand that some speech anxiety is normal, it often helps them relax. There are people who will say that some anxiety is also good. Those who speak in public, and for that matter, athletes and actors, often discover that they can channel their anxiety into enthusiasm and positive energy that adds spark to their speech. Speakers can develop positive self-feedback by telling themselves that they have something of interest to say and that others may want to hear it. Speakers should pay attention to audience feedback, but they shouldn't let one yawn or confused gaze throw them off. Perhaps that one person is actually tired. Successful speakers develop realistic goals. Anxiety is often caused by the pressure to be perfect. It helps if a person can see each situation as a chance to learn more about the process of speaking. Speakers who focus on communicating ideas rather than focusing on their own shortcomings feel less tension. It's important for speakers who have anxiety to act with confidence, and that's half the battle. Good speakers try to understand their subject, their audience, and themselves. That way they're prepared for whatever happens. Studies have shown that the more people speak in public, the more comfortable they are the next time that they speak. Even making the decision to speak is the first step in reducing fears. So if you find the idea of speaking in front of an audience right up there with climbing Mount Everest or singing a solo at Carnegie Hall, you're not alone. Everyone has cold feet. But remember, experience is a good teacher. Reading manuals about how to swim is not going to make you a good swimmer. You've got to take the plunge. You might even be surprised at how good you are.
You know, and then it ended. You know, I did fine. You know, the audience clapped. It was cool. But the best thing was, man, it was over.